The Bible records the deaths of many men, including some notable figures such as Abraham, Moses, David, and Solomon. However, there are two men mentioned in the Bible who are said to have never died: Enoch and Elijah. Enoch was a figure in the Bible who lived before the Great Flood described in Genesis. The biblical account of Enoch's life is relatively brief, but it provides some important details about his family and his relationship with God. Here is a brief biography of Enoch based on the biblical account. 1. Enoch was born to Jared, who was a descendant of Adam through Seth, and he was the father of Methuselah. 2. Enoch lived for 365 years, during which time he walked with God. Genesis chapter 5 verse 22. 2. This phrase suggests that Enoch had a close and intimate relationship with God and lived a righteous life. 3. Enoch had a son named Methuselah when he was 65 years old, and he continued to walk with God for the rest of his life. 4. At the age of 365, Enoch was taken up to heaven by God, and he did not experience death. Genesis chapter 5 verse 24. 5. Enoch is also mentioned in the New Testament book of Jude, where he is described as a prophet who spoke about the coming judgment of God. Elijah was a prophet in ancient Israel who is one of the most prominent figures in the Hebrew Bible. Here is a brief biography of Elijah based on the biblical account. 1. Elijah's background and family are not mentioned in the Bible, but he is believed to have lived during the reign of King Ahab in the 9th century BCE. 2. Elijah is first introduced in the Bible as a prophet who warned King Ahab of a severe drought that would last for several years. 2. According to the biblical account, the drought was a punishment from God for the king's wickedness and idolatry. 3. During the drought, Elijah lived in hiding near the brook Cherith, where God provided food for him through ravens. 3. Later, he was taken in by a widow in Zarephath, where he performed a miracle by multiplying a small amount of flour and oil to provide food for the widow and her son during the famine. 4. Elijah later confronted King Ahab and his queen, Jezebel, over their worship of the god Baal and their persecution of God's prophets. 4. He challenged the prophets of Baal to a showdown on Mount Carmel, where he called down fire from heaven to consume a sacrifice and prove that the God of Israel was the true God. 5. Elijah fled from Jezebel's wrath and spent time in the wilderness, where God spoke to him through a still, small voice. 5. He eventually returned to Israel and anointed Elisha as his successor. 6. Elijah's final act was to be taken up to heaven in a whirlwind, accompanied by a chariot of fire and horses. 6. Elisha witnessed this event and received Elijah's mantle as a sign that he was now the chosen prophet of God. Elijah is regarded as one of the greatest prophets in Jewish tradition, and he is also honored as a prophet in Christian traditions. He is often seen as a symbol of strength, courage, and faithfulness to God.